Thanks for being here, guys. I really appreciate your presence, for investing your time, and we look forward to making this a good conference for you guys. Okay, about the Liferay Renaissance. So late last year around this time, I kept seeing on social media a bunch of women asking their significant others, their husbands, how often they think about the Roman Empire. And they were surprised that, and this got millions of views, that lots of men think about it all the time. And why not? Okay, so I live here in Brazil, right down here in Recife. No Roman centurion has ever stepped foot there. But as I walk the streets, I see Nova Roma, New Rome. And across, you see this tribunal, prefeitura, more tribunal. You see it everywhere. And I was just in Herculaneum by Pompeii a few weeks ago, and you could see same letters, tribunal right there, Caesar right there. If you were a Roman from that period of time, you were dropped in Recife, you wouldn't be that surprised by the letters that you saw. I also spent 4 years in this city called São Paulo growing up. And I did not know until I was much older, as I was reading letters by a guy named Paul written to the Romans, I didn't realize much later that that city that I lived in as a kid was named after him. And when I was in college, I would burn CDs using Nero. And I didn't realize that he burnt down Rome and killed St. Paul until much later. Okay, and where are we right now? We're at the Aquarium. Think about it. Atrium, adamantium, right? These are all Latin-based words, right? And right here in Hungary, up until 100 years ago, there was a king here, and his name was Kaiser, okay? And I didn't know what Kaiser was. I thought it was just a beer. Or where I was growing up, it was just a hospital. Oh, it's actually the word for Caesar. And we visited the place where they cremated his body. And even now, 2,000 years later, people still lay down flowers for him, right? That's amazing. And when you think about the Roman Empire, you can't help but think about the fall of Rome. People write books about this. What in the world happened? And what happened right after the fall of Rome in the 5th century came the Dark Ages, a period of 1,000 years of darkness from 500 to 1500. And what happened during this period of time? The 1300s, people starved, and then there was a Black Death. It was a huge plague, and people would wear masks, would put stuff in there to prevent the spread of diseases. Sound familiar? And then they would do this weird thing. They would put on leeches to suck blood out of people because that would actually be good for you. But here's the strangest thing about leeches. They've been around since Egyptian times, Greece, Rome. They all used it. And it was used in France. Its peak of usage of leeches was in France until the 1850s. That's not too long ago. So you think that these crazy practices were confined to the Dark Ages, but it wasn't. And while the Dark Ages were dark, it did not have a monopoly on darkness. Surely there were holy wars during the Dark Ages, but I just turn on the news and I see lots of religious warfare going on right now. I grew up doing 9/11. You read of churches molesting children. You hear of governments castrating, mutilating, and abusing children, right? So they did not have a monopoly on darkness. And just as they did not have a monopoly on darkness, the Dark Ages were also not void of light. There was light there. The first universities were birthed during the Dark Ages, and those universities still exist today, and they lay down the foundation for all of the scientific innovation that we've had. The Magna Carta was written for constitutional law. Right? So many governments today trace back to that document. You look at this. This came in the 8th century. It's not Latin. It's an Arabic translation of Euclid. Okay? And it was written by this guy named Al-Khwarizm al-Jabri. I think I'm pronouncing it right. What does it sound like? Algebra. That's when algebra was birthed, in the Middle Ages. And without algebra and without algorithms, no AI today. And think about it. What does algorithm sound like? Every time you say that guy's name, the 9th century Persian mathematician Abu Ja'far Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi. You're speaking the word of algorithm. All the words that start with al, like, point to the sky. Occam's razor. Okay, the rule is lex parsimoniae, the law of briefness. Keep things simple, right? What about in programming, right? We think about this. If 2 computer programs do the same job, the shorter one with less code is the better one. Or the KISS design principle. Keep it simple, stupid. Okay, every time you write clean code, you're pointing back to philosophy from the Middle Ages. Or you step into a cathedral. How could you not say that's beautiful? Beautiful works of art came then. And scientific innovation. The first tide mill, where we harness the power of water. Gunpowder. A blast furnace, where we're able to do large metal works with the power of water. Heavy cannons. The compass. Eyeglasses in the 1200s out of Italy, in Florence. A wheelbarrow. The Romans didn't have a wheelbarrow, for crying out loud. And Irish whiskey, okay? And that came through the Middle Ages. But the mother of them all, the greatest invention that came from the Middle Ages, at the tail end of it, the printing press, okay? Before the printing press, you could do 40 pages a day. Post-printing press, you could do 3,600 pages a day. It's a huge leap in productivity and efficiency. So what in the world does this have to do with Liferay? Right? Actually, quite a lot. First, I'm a guy, and I think about the Roman Empire every day. And I work every day, so I just can't help but connect the two. And there's a period of time called the Pax Romana, the Roman peace, where everything was nice. And to me, the Roman peace was essentially the period of time when Sun Microsystems owned Java. Life was so easy for us. Why? All we had to do was wait for a specification to come out. IBM would implement it, and we'd be the open source alternative. And open source was cool back then. Hey, it's not so as cool now. Just look at Elasticsearch, right? They're not even open source. And then came the fall of Java, which is, to me, parallels to when Oracle bought Sun. Okay? Open source is no longer cool. Oracle did a bunch of weird things to it. But if you think about it, Latin never died. It lives on today. It evolved. It lives on in all the Romance languages: French, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, Romanian. So Java's not dead, and it lives on its variants. TypeScript. I opened up a TypeScript file by accident a few days ago, and I was like, wait, is this Java? Oh, no, it's not. Okay, C#, Scala, Kotlin. Now, Liferay had its dark ages too, okay? A period of time that was rough, but we had a lot of improvements that came from it. So I'll talk about the dark ages for Liferay in a bit, but where are we now at Liferay? I believe we're in the midst of our renaissance, of the Liferay renaissance. And for us, the Liferay renaissance was Liferay Object. It's a last thing between the dark ages and the modern period, right? And if you think about it, Service Builder, it was rough because it was faster than hand coding, but it's still not as good as low code. Low code is still way more productive. 3,600 pages to 40 pages, you can mock way more with Object than you can writing Service Builder. And we've continued investing in it heavily. You can see this is Object Model Builder. It's very beautiful now. You can connect it, are the different objects. You can even show the relationships. So that's why, to me, Liferay Object is the printing press for Liferay. And it marks our renaissance. During our dark period, we experimented with lots of different technologies, and one of them was OSGI. I'm very happy with OSGI, by the way, because it's the foundation of everything we do, but I still don't understand it, okay? And we spent 3 years modularizing code instead of building new features, and we were stuck on Java when the rest of the world moved on to its variants, right? And it was slow to work, and it was a hard ramp-up time. And not only was it slow and hard to learn, booting up Liferay on 6.2 took 21 seconds. On 7.0 was 89 seconds. Now, on an older machine, the distance of this is even greater. You just can't see it because I have more cores on my machine now. And on the latest quarterly Q3, version 7, 20 seconds. We're finally faster than 6.2, 10 years later. Okay? But we're not the only company, and that's just one point. Everything else is faster about it too. But we're not the only company that had a period of dark ages. Okay? Right? Remember the Newton, right? It was terrible. If you think that's not happening now, who wants to walk around with a bowling ball, right? And charge it all the time? I tried it for 5 minutes, got a huge headache, I had to put it down. Compare that to Meta. They sure seem to know what they're doing. Same principles, just shrunk down and humanly usable. What was the Newton, the Apple vision for Liferay? It was App Builder, okay? We released in 7.3. I'm ashamed of this. And the irony of it is, in App Builder, we still called it objects for the entries that you would do. The problem with it, though, was it was an isolated app, okay? And the data that you would put in would be retrievable by forms, and all of our customers would then say, hey, we want to beautify this. Okay, there's no way to do it. We have a way of beautifying your website via WEM, but the two were completely disconnected. And every time we wanted to add a feature to App Builder, the teams would say it would take a year. And then as I dug in more, they really meant 3 years. We already spent 3 years, and we have to spend another 3 years just to add relationships to objects. No way. We deleted it, and we rewrote the thing in 6 months on top of Service Builder, on top of the invention from a dark period, and now has more features. What was the printing press for Apple? It was the iMac. Steve Jobs came back in 1997. What did he do? He slashed a bunch of products, okay? And he said, at its essence, what is Apple? All right? It makes beautiful consumer products. And they deleted, or they got rid of the floppy disk drive. And I remember as a kid thinking, wow, this is a big deal. No floppy disk? I don't know if I could buy this. This is from a newspaper. The iMac is only going to sell to some of the true believers. It doesn't include a floppy disk or file backups or sharing of data. It's an astonishing lapse from Jobs, who should have learned better. The iMac is clean, elegant, floppy-free, and doomed. It was not doomed. They were wrong. Removing it, focusing, actually saved Apple. 10 years later, they built the iPhone. But did you know the iPhone was not what Steve Jobs actually wanted to build? I actually started, this is Steve speaking, on the tablet first. I had this idea of being able to get rid of the keyboard and type on a multi-touch glass display. Oh my, we can build a phone out of this. And I put the tablet project on hold because the phone was much more important. Okay. So they focused by saying no to the iPad and yes to the iPhone. They didn't try to do both at the same time. They prioritized, and they made tough decisions like getting rid of a floppy disk drive or getting rid of a keyboard. Right? Those are tough decisions. Another Steve Ballmer, by the way, they're both Greek Roman names, right? Steve Jobs, Steve Ballmer. And he said there's no chance the iPhone is going to get any significant market share. $500, who's going to pay for that, right? It's going to be the most expensive phone. I bought an iPhone 15 last year. I think I spent way more than $500, right? And it doesn't appeal to business customers because it doesn't have a keyboard, which makes it not a very good email machine. I write lots of emails every day, okay? So the point of this is, for Liferay going forward, we're going to focus. Right? Instead of providing 80% of the box and expecting you to customize the last 20% to get to 100, we're going to give you 100% so that you can build 150%. We're going to remove and deprecate a lot of stuff. We're going to offload things to the marketplace. And for a lot of our products, instead of just writing code from scratch, we're going to build Liferay with Liferay using low code. And Marco's going to go in depth on that. And then enablement. This is super important. I've seen projects where people spend 3,000 hours building something on top of Liferay that Liferay already has out of the box. And you're like, why'd you do it? They just did not know. So courses, Liferay courses, using objects and LMS, it's real and it's live right now. You guys can go take those courses. It tracks you. And certifications are next. The teams worked really hard to make this happen. And then quality. Okay, October last year, we made a big bet as a company. one of the problems was that our quality, based on the metrics that we could detect, was not improving the way we wanted it to. And we just kept throwing more bodies at trying to solve the problem. So we basically said part of the problem was the weekly updates. So we moved towards quarterly updates. That helped a lot. But then something else fundamentally was wrong. And the thing that we realized was that if a developer writes code and someone else fixes his problems, the developer has no incentive to write good code. Okay, that's the key thing, right? You got to wipe your own butt. Okay, you make a mess, you clean it. So what did we do? We made the tough decision and we reallocated some of our QA people to doing releases. Some of them became product managers, and we said goodbye to a lot of good folks last year. And now the developers do their own QA. And as a result, that large blue line is 7.4 with its issues. We still haven't stabilized 7.4. But the ones who've moved on to the quarterly releases, adoption is way faster, and the curve to stability is way faster. So the key takeaway for that is if you're on a project, move towards a quarterly release. It's going to grant you a lot more, the great balance of speed and stability. Okay, one more thing. Innovation, okay? The iMac came during the age of the internet, right? So they capitalized on it, they got rid of the floppy drive, and a modem was built in. One of the things that we haven't done in a long time is, we can switch to my laptop now, is we haven't done a live demo in quite a while. So I wanted to do that, show some code, right? Show some innovation. Now the stuff that I'm going to show, a lot of it may never make it into the product. Why? Because we want to focus. And innovation requires trying 100 different things sometimes to find the two key things and then focusing on it. But this is something we have to try because this is AI related and everybody's talking about AI. And there's going to be a much longer talk about this later in the next 2 days. So I've just booted it up and it's a client extension. The code is inside Liferay Portal workspaces. You know, it's not that much. It's a batch framework where we load a bunch of objects, a custom element, Spring Boot, and then site initializer. Okay, and if you look in the Spring Boot, it's not a whole lot of files. It's basically mapping a Liferay API. It's basically mapping a Liferay API to Lang4Chain to an action. That's all this is. It's super, super simple. Okay, so what in the world does this thing do? All right, let me sign in here. Yes, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my password, guys. On liferay.com too. You guys can try it. I'm sure it will work. Okay, so what did we do here? We have the site initializer created this thing called AI Content Wizard. Okay. All right, so I go to AI Content Wizard, and I say, ay, ay, ay. Ah! Are you kidding me? Okay, help me out here. Kevin Leone, I swear this worked 5 minutes ago. What the? Oh, my goodness. Kevin, are you here? What in the world? What? Why is, oh, you have to be kidding me. Oh my goodness, guys. I really wanted to show you this, and I am having no such, is that Kevin walking up here? It's actually all planned for me to screw up, just not planned by me. Okay. What? Is the backend running? I think it is. GW boot run, right? Okay. Maybe I timed out? No, I'm using your branch. Let me double check. I am on the wrong branch. Oh, wow. Because I was working last night when I shouldn't have been. What? Oh my goodness. Okay. Am I on the right branch now? Are you telling me that's all I have to do, switch on the right branch? Oh my goodness. Okay, we still have time. I still have 5 minutes before. Okay, so it's up and running now. All right. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. It's already set up. Okay. Write a blog post about Wonder Woman. No, let's do Hulk. Okay, about Hulk. Okay. This is not that interesting. Really isn't, because you're just generating content, right? Come on, is it my internet? No! Why is it taking so long? It takes time, because AI is really, really smart. Okay. Anyways, here's some content, okay? Not a big deal. Okay, what's cooler, though, is, if this works, where is this? Devcon. Okay, what if I said create a page, and let's call it hello. No, let's call it Jane. Okay, create a page based on this image. And what is this image? It's just a simple image, okay? What would happen if we told it to do that? It's because, okay, a page named Jane was created. Okay, all right. Okay, so this is just a toy demo, but you can see we're trying to innovate, we're trying to play with things, and then from the things that we play with, we're gonna figure out how we can best stay focused and provide value. That's it. Thank you very much, guys.